My name is Tyler, and I still can't sleep properly, and it's been over a year. Every time I close my eyes and hear silence, my brain starts filling in the gaps, sketching in things that aren't there, or rather, things that were. It started in February when I rented an apartment in an old building in Portland, Oregon. Cheap, quiet, third floor. I could barely hear the neighbors, or at least that's what I thought at first. The landlady, a retired woman named Margaret, handed me the keys and said one thing before leaving. "Don't mind the sounds at night. Old building, old pipes." I nodded and didn't think twice about it. The first 3 weeks were fine. I worked from home, coded, went to bed around midnight. Sometimes I'd hear something deep inside the walls, a creak, a groan, whatever. The building was from the early 70s. That's just what old buildings do. The first time I heard it was on the 22nd night. Around 3 a.m., a quiet knocking, steady, methodical, like someone very slowly and very carefully tapping their knuckles against the inside of the wall. I lay there counting. 1, 2, 3. Pause. 1, 2, 3. Pipes! I told myself out loud, and my voice sounded way too loud in the dark. I rolled over and eventually fell asleep, but the knocking came back the next night, and the night after that. And after a week, I couldn't pretend it was pipes anymore, because pipes don't go silent when you stand up and walk toward them. This sound did. The moment my footsteps creaked on the hardwood floor. Silence. Total. Dead. I started paying closer attention. One night I didn't get up, I just lay there and waited. The knocking went on for almost an hour, and then I heard something else. Very faint, right at the edge of hearing, breathing. Slow, steady breathing coming from directly behind the wall at the head of my bed. I called Margaret the next morning. Her voice was perfectly even, like someone who had their answer ready in advance. "Tyler, I told you, it's an old building. The acoustics are strange," she said. "Probably the tenants downstairs watching TV late." "At 3 a.m, I asked. "And they're breathing into the wall?" A long pause. "I'll come by Friday and take a look," she said. She never showed up. That same night I didn't go to bed at all. I sat in the kitchen with every light on, and my laptop open, music playing through my headphones. Around 4 a.m, I pulled one earbud out, and heard it. Not a knock, a voice. Barely audible, like someone whispering through a layer of plaster and drywall. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable, questioning. Someone was asking me something. I moved out 2 days later. While packing my things, I noticed something I'd walked past 100 times without seeing. In the corner of the bedroom, right near the baseboard, there was a small hole in the wall, about the width of a pencil. Clean, clearly drilled, not accidental. I didn't look through it. I just covered it with a strip of tape, grabbed my bags, and walked out. Already on the street, I pulled out my phone and searched rental listings for that building over the past 3 years. 7 listings, all for the same apartment. All marked, "Landlord looking to fill quickly." I still don't know who was on the other side of that wall. And I think that's exactly what won't let me sleep. My husband Jake left for a work trip to Chicago on Monday morning. He kissed me, squeezed my shoulder, and said, "5 days, Sarah. I'll call you from the gate." Everything was completely normal. A normal Monday, a normal goodbye. He called Wednesday evening, tired, not saying much. "Crazy busy over here. Miss you. How's Biscuit?" "Our cat." I told him Biscuit had taken over his pillow. Jake laughed. "Traitor." We talked for maybe 10 minutes and said goodnight. Thursday night. It was around 1:30 in the morning. I heard the front door lock click open. I wasn't scared right away. My first thought, Jake came home early. A surprise. I actually smiled in the dark, listening to him take off his shoes in the entryway. Quietly, trying not to wake me. Then the hallway floorboard creaked near the kitchen. Then everything went still. Biscuit, who always tears out to meet Jake with loud meowing, didn't leave the bedroom. He was lying at my feet and hadn't moved. I reached down and touched him. He was rigid, every muscle tight as a wire. "Jake?" I called out quietly. Nothing. Silence. "Jake, is that you?" And then from the kitchen came a sound. Not a voice, just a sound. somewhere between an exhale and a scrape, like someone slowly dragging a chair across the tile floor. I grabbed my phone and called Jake. He picked up on the third ring, groggy, clearly woken from deep sleep. "Sarah, what's wrong? It's almost 2 a.m. "Are you home?" I whispered. "What? No, I'm at the hotel. What's going on?" I locked myself in the bedroom, shoved the nightstand against the door, and didn't come out until sunrise. Jake stayed on the line. He talked to me all night while I listened to something in my apartment walking slowly down the hallway. Back and forth, back and forth. When daylight came, I called the police. They searched the whole apartment. Nobody. No sign of forced entry. Windows locked from the inside. No evidence of anyone having been there at all, except for one thing. On the kitchen table sat a glass of water. I hadn't put it there. Jake had been gone since Monday. The apartment had been empty for 3 days, and there was a glass of water, perfectly dry on the outside, sitting in the center of the table. Jake flew back Friday. First thing he did was pull me into a hug. His hands were cold, not just came in from the cold, but wrong cold, unsettling, unnatural. "Got chilly in the cab," he said, noticing my expression, and he smiled. The right smile, his smile. But Biscuit bolted under the bed and didn't come out for 3 days. I'm sharing this because I need to ask, has anyone else experienced something like this? Because it's been 8 months, and Jake is Jake. I'm certain of it. Almost certain. Biscuit still won't go near him. I worked search and rescue in a national park in northern Washington state for nearly 8 years. In that time, I've seen a lot. Accidents, deaths, survivors in shock who couldn't explain what had happened to them. I learned to think of myself as a realist. I don't believe in the supernatural. But there is one story I've never told out loud, except to my partner Marcus, who was right there with me and still doesn't know what exactly we saw that night. It happened in late October, after dark. We got the call around 6 in the evening. A girl, 8 years old, had fallen behind her family on one of the marked trails. The family had returned to the trailhead over an hour ago and waited, assuming she'd find her way back. She hadn't. We moved fast. Me and Marcus, headlamps on, radios on. The trail was straightforward. The forest wasn't dense, maybe 2 miles out and back. An 8-year-old shouldn't have gotten far. We'd been walking about 30 minutes when Marcus stopped and silently pointed his flashlight to the left. Between the trees, roughly 50 yards off the trail, someone was standing, completely still, just standing there looking at us. "Hey!" Marcus called out. "Search and rescue! You doing okay out there?" No answer, no movement. We looked at each other. Maybe a hiker in shock. Maybe someone disoriented. We stepped off the trail and headed toward the figure. When we were about 20 yards away, the figure was gone. Not gone like it ran. Just gone. There 1 second. Nothing the next. We stopped. Marcus swept his beam in every direction. Trees, ferns, darkness. Nothing. "Must have been a trick of the light," he said. His voice was steady, but I noticed he hadn't taken a single step forward. "Both of us saw the same trick?" I asked. Marcus didn't answer. We got back on the trail and kept moving. We found the girl 20 minutes later. She was sitting on a fallen log at the edge of a small clearing, arms wrapped around her knees, alive, unharmed, not hypothermic, even though the temperature had dropped significantly. When we approached, she looked up, and I could see she hadn't been crying. She was just waiting. "How are you feeling?" I asked, crouching down next to her. "Were you scared?" "No," she said. "The man stayed with me. He told me to sit here and not move, and that people in orange jackets would come." Marcus and I looked at each other, then down at our jackets. Orange. "What man?" Marcus asked. "A tall man. He was standing over there," She pointed into the darkness behind the clearing, watching to make sure I didn't wander off. And then you came, and he left. We checked the clearing and the surrounding area. The ground was soft from recent rain. There were 2 sets of boot prints, ours, and the girl's small sneaker tracks. No one else's. Not a single footprint other than ours. My report read, "Child located in good health. No other persons in the vicinity." What else was I supposed to write? Marcus never brought it up again. Once, a few months later, I tried to start the conversation. He looked at me very steadily and said, "There's a rule. You don't talk about what you don't understand." And I never asked again. Every time I go out on a night search now, I think about that little girl, how calm she was on that log, how she wasn't afraid for a single second, and about something standing between the trees, 50 yards off the trail, watching us in silence. Sometimes I think that's a good thing. Sometimes I'm not so sure.